And there is a force outside of us that wants to turn our lives into decay. And we need to be aware of that. There is no such thing as existing in this world without being aware of good and evil. And there is an evil force trying to destroy your life. And what they're telling us is that we have to trust the banking system, the very same system that gave us paper money and a stealthier way to steal our purchasing power. We are being asked to trust the very same system that has done that throughout the ages and is busy doing that right now to our lives and ushering in an age of slavery that is unprecedented, and where it won't matter what the color of your skin is, or what culture you're from, or what you believe God's name is, or whether there's even a God, period. It won't matter. We'll all be enslaved. Our prosperity is being slowly and incrementally degraded, and that's why we talk about Bitcoin, and we should talk about also gold and silver, because Bitcoin is a kind of gold and silver. It's just digital. And I know a lot of people don't get that and they don't want to hear it. I'm not trying to sway you one way or the other. Whatever you feel the most comfortable with, go with it. But one thing is for sure, we need to know exactly what it is that's destroying our purchasing power. I talk a lot about that in my videos, and I've talked about how God hates uneven weights and measures, as it says in the ancient scriptures. And what is fiat money if not uneven weights and measures? So one of the pleasures I've had in life is living abroad. We lived in South America and Ecuador for 8 years, and traveling around and going local has put me in front of situations that are just the kind of experience that stays in your mind and doesn't leave. Like, I've seen these really antiquated scales. Stay with me, this is part of the conversation, it fits in. We've seen in some of these old countries people still using these really, if you've never seen these old antiquated scales, I went into this store, looked like it was from the 1800s. When you walk into the store, the way it's set up, there's no technology anywhere, you know, it's just totally analog. And then they've got this scale on the counter, right? And you want like 10 kilos of salt, and they're putting it on the scale. And if you've never seen the scale is not what we know a scale to be today. Those are technological scales. The antiquated scales didn't just give you a weight. You didn't just put the thing on there and it gives you a weight. You had two sides. This is really important. Two sides to the scale, to where if you wanted 10 kilo bag of salt, you had a 10 kilo weight that you put on one side, and then you put the 10 kilo bag of salt on the other side, so that it did a balancing act. And matter of fact, the word for scale in Spanish is bilancio, which is balance. When we read that God hates uneven weights and balances, that puts it into perspective, because in a balancing situation, when the weight on the right side is equal to or even to the weight of the salt on the other side, then you know you're getting what you're paying for. So an uneven weight and balance, i.e. scale, is a form of cheating. You're not getting the weight that you're purchasing. It's fraud. Because a lot of people are hearing all over the internet that the reason you don't get ahead is that you just don't work hard enough. you know, you just haven't worked long enough. And you listen to these people that started getting into real estate, and it's been 35 years later, and now they're gazillionaires. And, you know, it's all your fault. Why you've got to, you're stupid, you know, now there are things that we shouldn't be doing and things that we should be doing. We should be our own bosses. We should have our own business. We should have our own real estate, but they don't go far enough. You know, when you sell your time for money, you're receiving an uneven exchange for your time. A lot of times they'll tell you, you know, don't sell your time for money, and it's because your earnings are capped. You can, and that's all true, but there's more to it than that. Your earnings aren't just capped. Even if your earnings go up, you still aren't keeping up because, well, first let me back up a little bit here. The Romans in ancient Rome, 500 BC, now they figured out that they could shave off a little bit off of the coins over a period of time and people wouldn't notice. So you get a certain size of silver coin, and that's, you're supposed to be getting, you know, an ounce, and it's worth this much salt or whatever. But they would, little by little, shave a little bit off the coin. Rome fell, and all of these things were happening. There were wars, and there was this uneven weights and balances, a manipulation of the money where they were devaluing the money in their own way. But over a millennia later, the Chinese came up with paper money, and at that point it became even easier to manipulate the money supply. So it was a dream come true. When they came up with paper, why, it was a lot easier than shaving off little bits of metal off the coins, because you had to be careful because people could tell the coins would get smaller and smaller. But over a period of time, people might think, well, the coins are getting old, they're getting worn. You ever seen an old coin that looks all worn on the edges? You know, and so with paper, that's not what's happening. It happens without you really noticing it on the paper. The paper looks the same, but it doesn't buy you as much. And using the strategy of incrementalism, where they just do it over a long period of time, little by little, your money becomes, it buys less and less and less. And so people get confused as to why their life has become so complicated, and they don't realize it's because the foundational principle here is that we as a people lost sight of what the true balance and what the true picture of balance looks like. Trusting in ancient wisdom is what it comes down to. And when it says that the borrower is a slave to the lender, and somebody is sitting there telling you, no, you're stupid. Why, I'm so rich, and I'm rich because of debt. And then 2020 rolls around, we understand that there are different dimensions. Slavery is slavery, but how it comes about during different ages throughout history may be somewhat different, but the result is the same. You don't have control of your life. And what they're telling us is that we have to trust the banking system, the very same system that gave us paper money and a stealthier way to steal our purchasing power. We are being asked to trust the very same system that has done that throughout the ages and is busy doing that right now to our lives and ushering in an age of slavery that is unprecedented, and where it won't matter what the color of your skin is, or what culture you're from, or what you believe God's name is, or whether there's even a God, period. It won't matter. We'll all be enslaved because we have closed our eyes to the true nature of proper weights and balances and right and wrong and good and evil. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If there was anything else I could have added to the video, let me know, but I'm sure I could have talked for 3 hours. Thanks for coming to the channel. Have a wonderful day.